Everyone, welcome to HOK Technologies webinar. This is a webinar on Autodesk AutoCAD 2016. My name is Lynda Campbell and I'm a technical consultant with HOK Technologies. Just a little bit about HOK Technologies before we get into this webinar. We are an Autodesk Platinum partner, and we have a high level of knowledge and industry experience to provide support, training, consulting and business development. A little bit about the breadth and depth of our offering, everything from software to hardware. So not only are we Autodesk partners, we're also Microsoft Gold partners, Adobe, etc. We're proud suppliers of HP, Toshiba, etc., and we also provide training and support. Again, a little bit about myself. My background especially falls into the CAD and IT systems management, but I did start off with a structural detailing drafting apprenticeship, and now working for HOK and specializing in the Inventor and AutoCAD fields. So what I'm hoping to present to you this morning is really a preview for our AutoCAD for Power Users course. This course sorry, just a little bit of a technical glitch here. Right, so here's a little bit about the course. What we've found is that many AutoCAD users are currently only using 20% of the software's functionality. AutoCAD for Power Users is a course designed for those who have a grasp on basic 2D drafting and want to push the software to build up speed and efficiency. Whether you've been using AutoCAD for 6 months or 10 years, this course will introduce you to a range of tools and techniques that will provide a solid platform to build a more productive AutoCAD workflow. So I'm sure that especially if you've been using AutoCAD for quite a while, you've been sitting in situations thinking, I wish it could do this and I wish it could do that. Well, this course will definitely bring you into that. It's a 2-day instructor-led course, and that's a little bit of what we cover during that course. But I'd like to introduce you to a couple of things, as they say, maybe give you a little tasty morsel to whet the appetite for this course. Otherwise, it might just lead you in the direction of thinking that you can now explore what else AutoCAD actually does compared to what you thought it could do. All right, so this is what we're going to cover today. We're going to look at blocks, dynamic blocks, and then blocks with attributes. When we have blocks with attributes, we're then given the ability to data link and extract. So we can extract that attribute data. I'm going to have a brief look at macros and custom routines, and then we'll also have a look at collaboration. A couple of the Autodesk Cloud Services have become quite popular out there for rendering and also transmitting our drawings. And then a nice simple look at the eTransmit command. Some of us are not even aware that that's bundled in with AutoCAD. All right, so let's get right into it. Dynamic blocks. What are dynamic blocks? Okay, so we've got our tool palette here on the right-hand side. These are all built in with AutoCAD, shipped with AutoCAD with our usual and standard installation. And typically a dynamic block has that little lightning bolt through the icon over there. So what is a dynamic block? Again, a dynamic block has flexibility and intelligence. A dynamic block reference can easily be changed in a drawing while you work. Right, so there's an example of a dynamic block, a door that we can easily insert into our drawing. You can manipulate the geometry through custom grips or custom properties. So if I just click on that, you can see we've got quite different grips to what we're used to seeing. So these grips allow you to adjust the block reference in place as necessary, rather than searching for another block to insert or redefining the existing one. Over here we've got a grip which sets the angle of the door opening. So if I now click on that, I've been given a list which has been predefined in the creation of this block. And instead of now having to create different blocks for each of those openings, it's all built into one block. It's like having a catalog all in the one block, or a mini library as it were. This grip over here sets the wall thickness. So if you drag that down, you can see a few additional lines there. And what we're also now able to do is set specific standards or set a certain type of door or size of door that our drafters have to use within our project. For example, those that are doors that are now available, those doors that your client has specified they want to use. What we're used to with that little dialog box where the 100 and the 150 is when it's highlighted like that, we're used to being able to edit that. In this case, you're not able to. Those are specific values. So if I typed in 300 there, for example, it would simply jump to the closest value. Those are the only three values I can use for the wall thickness. The same on the right hand side. When we hover over that grip, it tells us that this sets the door size, and those predetermined door sizes in that list is a range from 600 through to a few values all the way through to 1000. Let's put a line in over here. And when we go over to this grip over here, this grip aligns the block to an object. So if I click and hold over that, I'm now able to go and line my door up with any object on my screen at any particular angle without having to go in and measure that. So that's a really awesome setting you've got there. And then just to finish off, these others are set the direction of the swing. So you're able to click and flip that around. And again, this sets the side the door is hung on. So fantastic tools that we've got there for our dynamic blocks. What about how do we create dynamic blocks? I put a little workflow together there just to simplify it. It's something that we do anyway with normal block creation, but it becomes a little bit more complex when it's the dynamic block. So we plan the block content. What we need to do is know how the block should change or move, and then what parts will depend on the others. For example, the block will be resizable, and after it's resized, then additional geometry can display, or the block needs to flip like we saw with the door, or needs to be aligned because we've got walls that are not always on a vertical horizontal line. They may be on an angle. Next, we have to draw that particular geometry. That goes without say. And after that, we need to add some parameters. So you can add either individual parameters or parameter sets to define the geometry. I'll show this in a little bit more detail in a few moments. And then each parameter requires an action associated with that parameter. So again, it'll make more sense as I show you in the next demonstration. Once we finish with adding our actions, we define our custom properties. They could include grips, labels, and even preset values. So like those ranges of the length of the door, we put those ranges in, or we list particular parameters there as well. We also have a test ability within our block creation, and we can test the block to make sure that it's performing according to what we're actually expecting it to do. So let's have a look at that in a bit more detail. We're going to open up this drawing over here, and I've already just drawn this in for us so that it's not a long-winded webinar, just quick and straight and to the point. So we've got rectangles here, and then a couple of lines and rectangles that make up that chair. I'll go over to the create block and just call this a desk unit. Select my base point. Select my objects, and then I'm going to select for this to open straight away in my block editor. In your block editor, this is where we come in and author our dynamic block. So if you've seen this before and wondered what this palette is all about, it's to do with authoring and creating your dynamic blocks. Right, so first of all, we want to put in an alignment parameter, because we want to be able to line that edge of our desk up with any object on our screen, no matter what its angle is. The alignment parameter is actually fully functional by itself. Unlike most of the other parameters, an action is not required. So it's one of the only ones where you're able to simply use the alignment command. We'll select our base point there, and then the alignment direction is what we're asked to put in now. So you'll see that little dotted line saying, okay, I want it to be lining up with that there. And straight away, our alignment grip is placed there. What else do we want to do with this? We would like to perhaps add a rotation to our chair. So what we can do now is we can choose the parameter rotation. We're asked to specify a base point. Perhaps I want it to rotate around the center of my chair at the back. And then we're asked to specify the radius of the parameter. So this is simply placing our rotational grip. So we're going to just put that slightly outside the base of the chair over there. And you can see it places that grip in there. And you can add your angle in now if you wanted to. I'm simply at this stage going to leave it at a 0 for the default. And as I said previously, with a parameter, you're required an action, and that's what that little exclamation mark is letting you know. There's no action associated with this parameter. Okay, so we're going to right-click. Sorry. And then we're going to add an action in there. So rotate, select the parameter, And now we select our objects. We need to select our parameter as well. So just come outside there and select those objects. And now we've given a little rotation parameter in there, and that's associating all of those objects in there with a rotation. If we click on that now, you can see over here on the left hand side in our properties, under value set, the angle type is set to none. And this is where we're able to go in and change those to increments or to a specific list of angles that we want the user to select. I'll put an increment in there, my angle increment 15 degrees, and you can see it starts sectioning that off there. And the minimum is 0 and the maximum we'll put at 90. Have a look at what it does there, puts those little divisors in there. Right, so what we can do, as I said previously as well, is we can go and test this block. Let's see how it works. Test our block. And look at that, it's rotating only by 15 degrees from 0 to 90, exactly as I said I wanted it to. So I'm going to close that block. Oops, seem to have lost my drawing as well. There we go. The test block back into the drawing, and then we're going to also add a flip in, because you know that we're not going to always have the option to be able to put the desk up against a wall on the left hand side, so we can also flip our desk around. Right, so we've looked at the alignment, which is a parameter completely on its own. We've looked at rotation, which is a parameter that we add in and then add an action to that. We've also got this one here, parameter sets, and we're going to add a flip set in here. So flipping is the same as mirroring our objects. Flip set. We'll select our base point being at the bottom of the left-hand side of our desk. We're asked to put in our reflection line. So this all sounds very familiar to our mirror command, doesn't it? And then we're going to pick near the line just to place our label. Put that down there. And we can actually drag that indicator up to that point there. All right, here we've got our icon for our flip set, and we actually have a few options in here. When we right click, we'll go new selection set. And we now need to select all of our objects, including the parameters that we've got here. All right, so we've got no little indicator saying that there's action required. Let's have a look now when we close our block editor. Let's just save that block, close our block editor. We're going to insert that desk unit now. And the first insertion point, being our base point, straight away has that alignment option. So if I come in from this side of this line, it lines it up to that side. And if I hover from this side, lines it up to that side, or from this side, lines it up to that side of the line. What about the flip and the rotate? So I'll just zoom in a little bit there for you. Able to flip. flips all of our objects around, and we've got the rotate. So we don't have to go and explode blocks, we don't have to go and make separate blocks for any of those actions. The dynamic block fantastically allows us to do all of that and add all of that functionality into one simple block. Right, so we're just going to move on now. Staying within the block area, we're going to have a look at blocks with attributes. What are attributes? An attribute is a label or tag that attaches data to a block. Most commonly, what we're used to seeing within an attribute is our title blocks. So if we insert our title block here, your A3 title block, I'll put it in at 0,0, and that's what we're very familiar with on our attributes. The data can be input, for example, your title of your project, all sorts of different information that can be placed in there, and something we're all familiar with. However, we can extract that data as well, but at the moment we're going to have a look at attribute information that can be extracted from a drawing, can be used in a spreadsheet or a database to produce a parts list or a bill of materials. You can associate more than one attribute with a block, provided that each attribute has a different tag. Attributes can also be invisible, and invisible attributes not displayed or plotted. So let's say, for example, we had a block of a door, and we wanted to put the pricing information there, size of the door, etc. We probably would only want to see the door number or name. In our drawing, we definitely wouldn't want to see all that other information. So those attributes become invisible and can be extracted out into a spreadsheet. How do we create blocks with attributes? We draw the block content, define the attributes, and then create the block. So let's have a look at doing that as well. I've put a few attributes in here already, just to give you an idea of what I've put in there. The tag is ext and the prompt extension, and down the bottom on the left hand side you can see all the different information that's associated with that attribute's definition. So it's not just plain text, it is an attribute definition. Let's have a look at defining another one in here. Define attributes is the command to use. And that last one that I'm going to put in there, we give it a tag name. The only thing to remember with the tags is that you're not able to use spaces there, so you can use underscores or dashes if that's not sufficient. And the prompt is literally that. It's a prompt that your user will receive when inserting this block. So you need to give them enough information to know what data they're meant to put in there. Let's spell that correctly. Department. Our default on department, we're actually going to put that in. We're going to have an invisible attribute here There are a few different other ones that you can use. We can also have a preset attribute. When it's a preset attribute, it's already filled in for you. And then you don't have to fill that information in yourself. We can also select our text settings, etc. And to line those up nicely, we've also got that option there, align below previous attribute definition. And it goes in and puts my department attribute definition at the bottom there. Right, so our second, or our last step actually, is to create our block. What we're going to do, however, is we're going to create a W blocks so that it creates a separate drawing. So we'll do a right block. We can pick any point for our insertion point. And then selecting your objects. This is something you need to remember. I'll select the phone. And then in order of how you want to see these attributes listed, that's how you select them. So EXT will be at the top, and then they will follow down the list. And then I'm just going to change that into our working folder. We've got a little office in here, and now we can go and insert that block. Okay, so as you insert that block, you're able to put in the extension. You can put in the name of the employee, the title, and then as we saw with department, because it's preset, it's already placed in there. And the only visible attribute is the extension. The others are all invisible attributes. So that's the only one that you'll see in there. But when it comes to extraction, as we'll see in our next few exercises, you're able to extract all of that other information. Any changes you want to make, simply a double click on your block and you're able to go in and change any of that information there. Let's move on to our data linking and extraction. Now have a look at extracting attribute data. So attributes, as we've seen, can be used in a drawing for labels and tags. They can also be extracted, however, into a database or table format. The data extraction command uses a wizard that automates the process. So the major steps involved in this process are selecting the drawing or drawings from which to extract, because you can extract from multiple drawings at the same time, then selecting the attributes you want extracted, and not only attributes but also any objects that have properties. So any properties on your drawing can also be extracted. Once you have set up the extraction information, you can save it to a template so that you don't have to go through the entire wizard again. And then you select the format to use for the extracted data, so it can be exported to an external file or used to create an AutoCAD table. Right, so we've got a drawing here which got quite a few different blocks with lots of different tags and information on that. If we have a look at how to extract that information, we can do it in a number of different ways. Well, let's start with this, Annotate tab. Over here under the Tables panel, we go to the Table command, and where we're used to putting in a table starting there, we can also create a table from object data in the drawing, in other words, data extraction. Blanks everything else out. When we click on OK, it takes us into our data extraction wizard. You have a look at the top of our first window. It lets you know that you're beginning here and it's page 1 of 8. So that's what the benefit of the template is that you don't go through all of these different pages every single time. We start off here, create a new data extraction, or, as we said, use previous extraction as a template. Click on Next, and we're asked to save the data extraction file. We'll call BOM for Bill of Materials. And then it takes us into page 2 of 8. This is where we take our source information. Drawings include the current drawing, or we can specifically select objects in the current drawing if need be, and we can also add folders or add drawings, so you can put in multiple drawings that you're extracting that information from. When we get through to our next page, this is where we select our objects. We can filter on the bottom here just by removing Display All Objects and selecting to display blocks only, or the inverse, display non-blocks only. We're going to remove logo and the AutoCAD title, and then all of these blocks here that are not relevant to our data extraction. And in our next window, we can select properties that are specific to what we want to extract. We can filter on the right-hand side here. I'm going to filter those down to the attributes in those blocks. And then I'm also going to filter even further. If I right-click up there, I can uncheck all of those. I only want cat. And I want the display name to be catalog. I also want MFG. And I want that display name to be manufacturer. Right, the data is extracted from the drawing and the results are now displayed on this refined data, page 5 of 8. In this view, you can reorder and sort columns, filter the results, add formula columns, and create external data links. And finally, we've got the option to choose our output. Insert the data extraction table into the drawing, or alternatively, output the data to an external file. Various formats are available. We're going to insert this into our drawing. We're then given the option for a table style. So if you had a specific table style, you could select it from the list or browse for it. We're going to keep it at this. All that we're going to do is change that title there. And then finish off. As you can see, the block is now attached to my cursor. I click to insert it, and there's my bill of materials showing my block names the catalog and the manufacturer, and also the number of those blocks. Isn't that wonderful? I'm sure a lot of us didn't realize what AutoCAD could actually do with our blocks and our extraction of data. Are we going for time? I think I'm going to move on now and have a look at our macros and custom routines. When it comes to custom commands, new commands can be created that are customized to suit specific actions required for your work. It can be done at a basic level using command macros. So we've got an example on the screen there of the macros, a couple of different types of input specify exactly what you're expecting AutoCAD to do within that macro. So for example, 0 turns ortho on or off, and we'll have a look at doing that within our drawing environment as well. Right, to create a custom command, we go into our Customize User Interface. I simply typed in CUI for the shortcut to Customize User Interface. And to create a new command, we use this button here, Create a New Command. So it brings up two areas here, the button image and then also the actual specific command here. You can see that this macro over here starts with that CC. It's the same as pressing escape twice or cancel twice to make sure that you're cleared of any command that you're actually in at that point in time. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a command for drawing text. So let's find an icon first of all that we can use. There we go, we'll use that one. If you wanted to edit it, you can go into the edit option and you can do a little bit of coloring in there so that you know specifically it's not a standard AutoCAD command. You can even have some sort of indicator that shows you that this is specifically a custom command that you've created, for example. Right, so that's our custom image, and we'll go down here to input the more important information. The name of our command, we're calling this notes text. And what we're doing with this notes text is it's going to create multi-line text using the hand text style. It's going to be left justified and with a height of 3. And even better still, we're actually going to get the layer to change also with one click. So let's have a look at how we do that. Again, just to save time, I have created the macro. So cancel, cancel, layer command, S for style, it's going into the text layer. The semicolons separate the different commands, but keep it all within one command environment. So we can put a description there. We can have text and notes, or even hand, because it's going to the hand text style. So if you look towards the end here, it's the mtext command is being initiated, then the hand style, S for style again, is the style of text, J for justify, and then TL for top left, H for height, and 3 for the height of the text. Right, we'll click on apply to accept that change. And over here under all commands only, we can actually filter that down to our custom commands. I already created one earlier on called title text, and here's our notes text command. What we can do with this is maybe just pop it into an existing tab. You can create your own panel and your own tab, your own sections on the ribbon where your custom commands can be placed. So that's also possible. Tabs, no, I want to be under panels. There we go. Under row 1. So I put the title text there, put in, and just drag and drop it, and now our notes text is also placed in there. And as you can see, that's now populated into our ribbon over there. Not too difficult, nice and easy. It's just a matter of learning those macros. Select our notes text command in the mtext environment. And if I press my F2 button to bring up the history, you can see that when I selected it, changed the layer, told me what the current one was, changed it to text, opened up the mtext command, changed our style to hand, changed our height to 3, and placed our text top left justification. Okay, so if we go back to the Home tab, we can see, just verify there, that our text layer has been activated. Isn't that fantastic? Right, we're going to have a look also at being able to run scripts. And again, it's not as, it can get very complicated, but the basics do not need to be overly complicated. If you've got a few things that you need to do that are similar in a number of different drawings, you can get the script to run all of that. So let's have a look at this drawing over here. So a script is actually a text file containing AutoCAD commands. Very, very simple, straightforward text file. When you run a script file in the software, the commands in the file are executed. The contents of a script file are actually similar to the contents of a macro, but the script does not permit pauses for input like the macro does. So let's have a look at what we've got in here. We'll have a look at our layers. All right, so we've got dimensions that's frozen. You've got no layer called new construction or demolition, so just making note of what we've got there as far as our layers go. And we also have a few layers on there that are with our objects, so we could purge those. Let's have a look also at our units. Right, precision is set at 4 decimal places. I'm going to change the insertion scale to meters. Just giving you an example of what can be changed with a script file. So that's essentially what we're doing here. Right, so going up to our Manage tab, down to the Applications, we've got this command here, Run Script. I've got this script here, sample script. It's run. And let's see what's actually happened. So you can see the dimensions are now showing. Remember, dimension layer was frozen. So what's it done? Dimension layer has been switched on. 2 new layers have been added, new construction and demolition. What about our units? That's been changed to millimeters, and our precision has now been changed to 3 decimal places. Right, so again, I'm going to press the F2 button to bring up the history on the command line and see what has happened here. Right, so when we started that script, first of all it purged the block. It got rid of line style, or line type, dimension, Roman, text style, so it did all the purge. It changed our layer so that our current layer is object, added new layers, put in their colors, etc. And then it changed decimal places on the units and also our precision. Let's see if we open up that script file what it looks like. Give you a better idea. You see, that's what I'm saying. It's not an overly complex one. As long as you have a look at that CUI file and see what the macro is for each of these commands, you can set this script file to run quite simply and quite easily to create new layers, purge old layers, switch layers on and off, and also change various options. So just again to introduce you to all the different options available in the AutoCAD software that you might actually never have thought were there. Or you knew they were there and you weren't quite sure how to get through to them. Right, we're going to finish off with collaboration. That's our favorite buzzword these days, collaborating, sharing our information, sharing our files, working with people in different countries and continents, being able to upload information. Everything's on the web these days. So Autodesk have got a number of different cloud-based services. We've got AutoCAD 360. You can view, edit and share your AutoCAD files. BIM 360 Glue is the BIM project review application, and it also has clash detection in there. a little bit like Navisworks in the clouds. You've got PLM 360. It is your product lifecycle management, so similar to an area of Vault where you're able to track your input and output, your revision management, and then you've also got rendering in A360. You're able to produce photorealistic images. You can use those for your sales engineering, for your websites, etc. And there are literally many more. So let's have a look at how simple it is to get into your A360. Right. So I just need to change this into a 3D modeling environment. We have a 3D model image of the dining room area. And up here, within your AutoCAD software, you've got the option to sign into your Autodesk 360 or A360 account. It's as simple as having an Autodesk ID. You just sign up for it. Anyone can sign up for it. There's a couple of differences between those that simply sign up out of their own, or if you've got a subscription, but essentially you can use it similar to Google Cloud Services, where you're able to share your information, and you are able to use 5 gigs of information without subscription, and as much as 25 gigs you can store in the cloud as well in that A360 account. So what I would do to render this image, I would go up to the Visualize panel, and right at the end of this, tab, Visualize tab, right at the end of this tab, you've got your A360 panel. And we can simply go Render in the Cloud. We're given the option to render different views that have been created, or current view, or all of the model views. We can also get an email notification when that's done, and we can start our rendering. So what it's doing now is uploading that, and it also lets you know over here, uploading files. When it's done with that uploading and with the rendering, you then get the option here to view that file. So I again have done this earlier on, and as soon as you click on view the uploaded file, it takes you into that rendered image, and you can utilize that, like I said earlier on, for your sales engineering. Again, when you're in AutoCAD, you've got your A360 tab, you've got some online files, AutoCAD Online, Sync, etc. So if you opened up the A360 drive, it takes you into your A360 account, and you're able to upload some documents from your own computer. You can drag and drop them, or for this exercise I'll select a couple of files. So these are the files we've been working on. Upload them. And then going back in here, I'm just going to start a stock standard new drawing and save that. Call it Cloud. Oh, sorry, save as. And And before I save it, sorry I jumped the gun there, we need to move into our A360 folder. So the same as what we would do going to desktop or any other folders in our computer, we can click on the A360. You can see it's the A360 drive that we were in and my username there. And I'm able to save that up. Into the cloud. Go back into your A360. You can see those two drawings that I selected, attributes AM and drawing 1 are there, and then this drawing cloud.dwg, that's the drawing that I've just saved into Autodesk 360, but I've also got this option on the left hand side, my cloud documents, and it just brings me also into this folder environment. One last thing to close off with, those days that we get someone asking us to email a drawing and we use XREFs and we also want them to print it out according to our pen settings, etc., and our plot styles. For those of you that may have not seen this before, we have the eTransmit command. It's simply up in your application menu, publish. Oh, yeah, sorry. Oh dear, sorry about that. Just cancel that. Okay, so don't, like me, click on publish, wait till it changes your selection on the right, click on eTransmit. That's fine, we can save that. And what the eTransmit does beautifully for us is it includes our plot configuration file associated with that drawing, our plot style table again associated with that drawing, and better still that we don't have to go and browse for these and perhaps, as we sometimes do, forget to include any of our XREFs. We then include that, and we can also include a transmittal. So you can go transmittal setup, create a new one. We can call this consultants that we need to send it out to. And this allows us to change the type of file we're sending it out to. Perhaps we want to put it into a folder or a zip. And then the actual file folder, we're just going to change this to that folder there where we've got the rest of our files. And we can view that report as well. It shows us what we're sending out, what the date is, the external refs, etc. Gives us a nice breakdown of everything we're including font and shape files as well. And then we're able to save that zip file out and send it off in an email to our client, or in this case the consultants. So I'd like to thank you for your time. If there are any questions, you're more than welcome to present them to me at this moment. You're welcome to present them to me right away, or you can email them through to us. or you can give us a call and we can have a chat to you, but we would love to see you at one of our Power Users courses. We have quite a few of them going on throughout the country, so you're welcome to call in, and there are also some really good deals on at the moment for our training. We have, I think it's called a passport, and allows you entrance to any of our training classes throughout the year for a very, very good price. So please call in about that. But yes, if there's any questions, you're welcome to present them to us now. Oh, good. Thank you very much. Thank you for your attendance. It was wonderful spending the last hour with you. Take care. Have a good week.